In this forecast, we're going to be talking about severe weather with damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes across the United States this week. And in addition to that, very heavy rainfall that could cause some flash flooding across the United States as we have multiple rounds of rain moving across the United States this week. And we'll look at the middle of June's weather pattern as well as more thunderstorm clusters could bring significant severe weather and very heavy rainfall to the United States by Father's Day weekend. And we're going to look at your temperature outlook at the end of the video. So if you are here, make sure to like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, family member, anybody that you know, and on social media. Turn on post notification bell so you're notified for future videos and live streams on the channel, and I definitely appreciate it. So let's get into the forecast here. We are talking about severe weather today, a slight risk of severe weather all the way up into Minnesota, dropping into portions of South Dakota, Iowa, into Nebraska, western Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, including the Oklahoma-Texas Panhandle. That is a 2 out of 5 on the risk scale. In the dark green surrounding that, that is a marginal risk. That is a 1 out of 5 on the risk scale. We also have a marginal risk of severe weather down in southeastern Florida today. Damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour will be the most likely hazard in the yellow shaded color especially, but in the brown shaded colors, we could also see wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. Quarter-size hail will also be possible, especially again in the yellow shaded color, but in the brown, we still could have a possibility of some hail today up to quarter size. And a low but non-zero chance of tornadoes. In the green, that is a 2% chance of tornadoes here in southeast South Dakota, far northwest Iowa, central Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, and northwestern Kansas, as a couple of tornadoes will be possible this afternoon and this evening. Let's look at the radar here at noon, and things are pretty quiet. And as we go into the 3 o'clock hour by mid-afternoon, we're watching storm development further up to the north into South Dakota, western Minnesota, or back west in Colorado. By the time we get to 6 o'clock here this evening, we're watching a couple thunderstorm cells that could pop up. These could be supercells. These could quickly grow upscale into a line, which would mean more damaging winds and hail versus tornadoes. So that's something we're going to have to watch as we go into the evening hours. But nonetheless, severe weather with all hazards, damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes will be possible from Minnesota back down through South Dakota into Nebraska and eastern Colorado as we go into the evening hours. 9 o'clock, this grows upscale into more clusters. So this tells me the damaging wind and even the heavy rainfall threat will start to really increase, but hail and tornadoes will still be possible here. We're also going to have to watch some of these storms down here in Kansas, Oklahoma, and West Texas. These could pose a risk for damaging winds, hail, and a couple of isolated brief tornadoes. And then as we go into the overnight hours, this is really going to become a big mess. So heavy rainfall and flash flooding will be more of a concern as we go deeper into the nighttime hours. Going into Tuesday, June 3rd, we have a slight risk of severe weather in yellow from Madison, Wisconsin, all the way back into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In Abilene, we have a slight risk of severe weather there in yellow. And in the dark green is a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 on the risk scale, all the way up into Marquette, Michigan, in fact, with that threat for severe weather. Damaging winds is again going to be our main threat here, with wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour, again, especially in this yellow shaded color from Madison, Wisconsin through the Davenport Quad Cities. South of Kansas City could include Wichita down here into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then we have a threat for hail mainly down here into the southern plains where the instability is going to be much higher. So Oklahoma City, Elk City, down to Lawton and Fort Sill, and Wichita Falls, Texas will be most at line for hail as we go into Tuesday. And there is an elongated area of tornado potential all the way up and toward Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin, Rockford, Illinois, and Peoria, all the way back through Quincy into areas of Kirksville, Missouri, Joplin, into areas of Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Wichita Falls, Texas, an elongated area of a 2% chance of tornadoes as we go through the day on Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, we got that big mess going on here. Heavy rainfall across the Midwest down into the Central Plains. As we go into the noontime hour, notice how these storms continue to re-intensify as they push across the state of Iowa, down through the Kansas City region. We're going to be watching out for some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, and an isolated tornado threat. And then as we go into the 3 o'clock hour tomorrow, notice we have a squall line developing. This tells me damaging winds is going to be the most likely hazard, followed by hail and the potential of a couple of tornadoes tornadoes. Notice the storm cells are a little bit stronger looking down here into the southern plains. So like Kansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, these storms could be a little bit stronger with some stronger instability going through the afternoon. These storms will push toward the Mississippi River into Illinois and toward portions of Wisconsin as we go into the evening hours on Tuesday, posing a risk for damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes. Storms will hang back into Kansas and Oklahoma, North Texas as we go into the evening hours. Slow moving storms, so these are going to produce some very heavy rainfall. Flash flooding will be a concern as we go into the Wednesday morning time frame. Going into Wednesday, marginal risk of severe weather from Detroit down here into Toledo, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and eastern Illinois. Also a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 into southeast Colorado and eastern New Mexico. And then we go into Thursday, June 5th. We have a slight risk of severe weather that's equivalent to a 2 out of 5 on the risk scale. Southern Kansas, western Oklahoma, and into the Texas Panhandle here. So areas of Amarillo, Lubbock, up here into Elk City, and near Wichita, we could have a threat for severe weather on Thursday. All hazards are in play, damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. And so far, predictability on Friday, June 6th is too low for the Storm Prediction Center to add a risk area, but this could be added in future updates, as they did mention in their synopsis here earlier this morning. So here we go on Wednesday. We got the cold front shifting east, and this could bring some severe weather from the Ohio Valley down here into parts of the Midwest. Also some severe storms with the remnants of Tropical Storm Alvin could be bringing some severe storms across Colorado and eastern New Mexico as well. We'll be keeping an eye on the wind and hail threat down there. And then as we go into Thursday, there is going to be a cold front kind of stalling out across the mid-Mississippi Valley. This is going to bring rounds of thunderstorms, so we could be seeing some very heavy rainfall, flash flooding threat, and attendant a severe weather threat as well, especially down here into the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, including the Oklahoma Panhandle and southern Kansas. And then we go on Friday. This could push eastward. The parts of the Midwest, Ohio Valley could see more rounds of showers and thunderstorms, and a few of those could be severe again on Friday, with damaging winds, large hail being the main threats, but isolated tornadoes also possible. We are tracking the remnants of Tropical Storm Alvin moving into the Four Corners region. You can see the spin here across portions of the Four Corners region. That's the spin associated with our storm system along the cold front as we go through the middle of this week, bringing all of our severe weather. We're also going to see some plentiful rain down here across Arizona, Utah, especially into Colorado, New Mexico. Here we go into the evening hours. Notice widespread heavier rainfall, so runoff from very heavy rainfall in this mountainous terrain could cause some flash flooding, so be watching out for that. That'll continue especially in central and eastern Colorado and northeastern New Mexico as we go into the day on Tuesday before the moisture kind of moves out, but we still see some scattered moisture still lingering around even through midweek there on Wednesday, June 4th. So when it's all said and done, we're going to see very heavy rainfall here through the upcoming weekend. This goes through Saturday morning, June 7th. Very heavy rain in orange and red here, where we have multiple inches of rain in the central United States, Chicago, Milwaukee, down here into Kansas City, Tulsa, Wichita, all the way down into even portions of Oklahoma City and Dallas. Could be seeing anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain with isolated 6 to 7 inch amounts, especially down here in central Oklahoma as we go through Saturday morning, June 7th. So flash flooding will be a concern moving through the long range. Speaking of the long range, we're going to be looking at another trough moving in from the southern Canadian prairies into the northern United States, and this could bring another big trough and cold front as we go into early next week. This could pose a risk for severe weather once again as we have more clusters of showers and storms coming down from Canada into the upper Midwest, the Central Plains, and parts of the Ohio Valley as we go into early next week, especially for Sunday, June 8th. Into Monday, June 9th, and then a secondary system coming in here as we go into later next weekend, and that actually could be for Father's Day weekend, bringing clusters of some severe showers and storms across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley during that time. Again, the placement and exact features with this is still uncertain as we are still several days out, so we'll keep you updated. Finally, let's talk our temperatures here late here in the period. We are right now in Monday, June 2nd, we are seeing potentially 90s all the way up into the upper Midwest, but late in the period, we're going to see a cold front coming through and bringing refreshing 60s and 70s back into the picture across the northern plains and upper Midwest, 80s across the Ohio Valley down into the Gulf Coast as we go into Tuesday. Wednesday, 80s, 90s, even warming up in the Northeast in the 80s there, refreshing 70s, actually making its way all the way down into Northwest Texas on Wednesday. Wednesday. Then we start to warm up a little bit by the end of the week with 70s and 80s coming back. And look at that record heat in South Texas on Sunday. June 8th could be into the low 100s, 107 even in Phoenix as we go into Sunday, June 8th. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, a thumbs up, share it with a friend, family member, anybody that you know, and on social media. Turn on post notifications so you're notified for future videos and live streams on this channel. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel as we do daily weather forecast videos. And I'll see you all in the next video.